Welcome inside the Morgan Franklin Transformation Center. I'm Michael Breed. Today, I want to talk to you about swing plane. So many of you were wondering, well, do I really need to have my club on plane? And what is the proper swing plane? What does it look like? And why does it make a big difference? How does it affect my ball contact and my shot shape and my predictability of distance and low point maybe even? Well, all of it gets in there when you start talking about getting the club in a better position at the top of the backswing. And it happens to be something that I struggled with in my game. And now, because of through the last years or so, the infrequency with which I was playing, I wasn't really able to control my shot shape the way I wanted to. And I want to show you a golf swing of mine of a couple of years ago, and then a golf swing that I made just earlier today, working on this exact thing. So let me jump into my V1 system here. And this swing over here, that swing on the left is my swing from 2021. So it's probably a year and a half or 2 years ago. And the struggle that I had with my golf swing versus now, this is a swing that I made earlier today, working on getting the club into a better position and something that I've been paying attention to. But I want you to understand what happens when you get the club in a poor position. Now, my particular fault was this. I would take the club back a little bit to the inside right here. So that position of that golf club going back is just slightly inside. And then what would happen is that when I started to lift this club up into the air, I would stand the shaft of the club pretty straight up. And then at the top, it would almost, this is, believe it or not, this is just slightly across the line. The reason why it doesn't look like it's across the line is because the club has stopped well short of parallel to the ground. And what I was trying to do in my golf swing at the time was I was trying to take the club and I was trying to take some wrist hinge out of my swing. So if you go face on here, Gibbsy, what I was trying to do was I was trying to get all of this out of my swing. And what I found out was when I would take the club back the way I was taking the club back and I would set the club, all of a sudden the club would set across the line. This is a habit that I had that's not just a couple of years of issues. This goes back to when I first started swinging a golf club. My club was way across the line. And I thought, well, this is a way to kind of solve a problem. It did solve a problem. But what it did was it also created another problem. And I'm going to show you what happened. So I would take the club up to the top there. That doesn't look like a terrible position at the top. Body rotation is really good. The arm position at the top of the swing is really quite good. And if I go back down to the address position and I draw this line right here, what you're going to see is that my shaft plane and my arm position at the top are about as good as it can get. For me, I want them to be parallel. That's pretty parallel. So I'm actually like, that's pretty good. Address position and then the top of the golf swing, that looks really good, except the golf club. The golf club is in a poor position. It's not on plane. The shaft of the golf club now is pointing down towards my heel. I want the shaft to point towards the strike line. That's what a proper swing plane is. So let me show you what I'm talking about. The golf ball, let's go down the line here, Gibbsy, if we could. The golf ball is there. There's a shaft plane line there. At the top of the swing, I want the shaft plane to point to the strike line. Strike line here, shaft plane here, club up to the top. I want the head of the golf club to be farther away from the strike line than the handle. And if there was a line or say a beam of light coming out of that handle, it would be pointing more or less to the strike line. But it wouldn't be pointing this way, back towards my heels. Well, if you come back over here and you look at this, that's exactly what's going on here, okay? So now, what happens as a result of this? Well, what I want you to see is when I draw this shaft plane line again, so right there, go up to the top of the swing right here, and now I start to come down. Now, there's a little bit of a fall over right here, so what would happen is you can see that shaft is, now the head is closer to strike line than the handle. I would fall over right there. So now it starts to come down. It looks like it's really steep. That's what it looks like. But it's actually not. What happens is that because of some other things that take place, the shaft of the golf club starts to lay down, and it lays down pretty dramatically. And so, in effect, club head is on the shaft plane right there, but it doesn't stay on that shaft plane. And what we want is we want the head of the golf club to kind of ride down that shaft plane, and it allows you to move the low point forward. It allows you to hit the center of the club face more consistently, which gives you a more predictable distance because you're delivering consistent loft, but also it allows you to start the golf ball on the line that you want. Now, I'm trying to hit cuts. Well, you're going to see in a second, the golf ball, here's the straight line right here to the target. I'll draw it over there. That's where I'm trying to hit the golf ball. That ball's not going to start on that line. So watch what happens here. The head of the golf club now falls right under the shaft plane. So now I'm under the shaft plane. Now I'm in a block position, and with the club face as a result of this laying down, opening up, I've either got to swing dramatically to the left side or flip my hands dramatically to get this to work, because this is a draw position. I'm not going to get this to start to the left. So what I'm going to hit is a block. It's going to start to the right, and it's going to go to the right, which is exactly what I was dealing with. The club face, look at how wide open that club face is right there. And at last parallel here, which is when this golf club is parallel to the ground before strike, the path of the golf club is now predicted to be out to the right. At this particular spot right here, you want to see a short shaft. You want the club head to be sitting right on the shaft plane, just like that. It is not. And so when this club starts to come now into the golf ball, what ends up happening is you can see it's dramatically from the inside. There's this one spot in the downswing where the head of the golf club should block the ball, so it almost looks like there is no ball. That never happens here. And so what would happen is that on this particular occasion, I got the ball in the center of the club face, but there's the rare occasion when I'm out playing, and it would happen at least once a round, maybe as many times, 2 or 3, 4 times in a round. I would hit it fat. And at that point, I lose distance of sometimes into the water, sometimes into a bunker, sometimes even, worse, fat and push, and now all of a sudden off the toe, and I get in real trouble. So I wanted to solve this problem. A lot of activity in the lower body, and club face and shoulders and everything is just, they're not aligned properly. Now, I want you to take a look at, this is, again, as I said earlier today, and what I want you to see as I remove this old swing back to the start position, watch what would happen here. So this golf club, that's a good idea. Let's draw a shaft plane line. So there's the shaft plane line there. So as this golf club starts back, now what happens is that the head of the golf club is right in touch with that shaft plane. Over here, it's already off the shaft plane. It's barely started back and it's off the shaft plane. When it gets to where first parallel is, which is right about here, it's well inside. I can see a lot more of the shaft over on the left than I can over on the right. All right? Now, back over here. Watch what happens here. So the club goes up, get to the top of the backswing right there. Now my arm is still in that same position that I had it in before, but now the shaft plane is pointing away from my heels. Here, it's pointing right towards my heels. So a dramatically different position that this golf club is at the top of the swing. In this position, this elbow, the trail elbow, is a little bit tighter to the shaft plane line. This one, I've lifted it up a little bit, so there's a little space over here in between the elbow and the shaft plane line as I've kind of lifted this up, which is where that tilt comes from. Totally different position. Club face is in a different position. Body is actually moved pretty nicely. This one maybe a little bit more movement because that club went inside. I get a little bit deeper in my hip rotation. All this stuff is happening because of what I'm doing with taking the club back and putting it into the position that I want at the top, which is some forearm rotation and the hands being not stacked, but sort of parallel to one another. doesn't look like that, but it's parallel to one another. If I get rid of these lines, which I will in a second, you'll see that my right hand is directly on top of my left hand. That's why that shaft over here on the left-hand side is pointing down to the heel. So now, let me get rid of this stuff. And what you can see is the hands are in different positions. The wrists are in different position. But the arm is in the same position. Now watch what happens when I start to bring this golf club down over here. So now I start to come down. Look at where the head of the golf club is. So back here, the head of the golf club got onto the shaft plane line about at the same position or at the same time as this one back here. It's not identical, but it's close. It's close. But the difference is that the club head now is going to stay a lot closer to that shaft plane line on the right than it does on the left. This is what I'm working on in my swing. So now as we start to go down here, what I want you to see is what happens. This club is already under the shaft plane line. This club is already on the shaft plane line. Now I go back. The club over here on the right is still on the shaft plane line. And it's still on the shaft plane line. This one here on the left-hand side is not only not on the shaft plane line, but it's getting farther from the shaft plane line. Right here, it's that far off the shaft plane line. And back up here, it's that far off the shaft plane line. So it's getting more and more off plane as I'm bringing the club down because of this laying down of the shaft. Right? So that's forearm, laying down the shaft is forearm rotation in the downswing. I'm trying to create forearm rotation in the backswing and at the top of the swing, so it can't do any more laying down. It's laid down as much as it can be at the top, which is getting the club on the right plane. So back over to here now on the right-hand side, still on the shaft plane line, still on the shaft plane line. Now watch this. There's that one spot that I told you about where the head of the golf club will block out the golf ball. So right there, it almost looks like there's no golf ball whatsoever. And what you also see is my forearm, my hands, the club shaft are all on that shaft plane line as it starts to approach impact. Over here on the left-hand side, it's really difficult to say that that's what's taking place because while the forearm might be on the shaft plane line, the head of the golf club is nowhere near that. The right hand is not on the shaft plane line. And when I come into this strike position, there's no time where that golf ball is blocked. The head of the golf club is now still underneath. So the low point is now moved away from the golf ball or behind the golf ball. Path of the golf club is going out to the push side here. And now I've got to work really hard at getting this golf club to get onto the strike line at the right time. I happened to do it in this particular swing. But as I said before, it didn't always happen. And when you're trying to play and you're trying to hit good shots with some degree of consistency, if you're getting 3 or 4, maybe even 5 times the fat shots, you're going to have some struggle. So we go back over here to the one on the left. And watch what happens. The ball shows up again, and now I have my strike. So let me get both of these to the strike. And now what I want you to see is that what looks different to you. There's a couple of things that are different. One is the amount that this heel is off of the ground. This trail heel is off the ground, but not by a lot. I don't have any more rotation. What I have is I have slide going on. And that slide that's going on, so here face on, Gibbsy, what I've done is I've started to slide like this, which takes low point behind, and that trail heel is now up into the air. So I don't have any more rotation. I just have more side bend that's taken place. And that's why the impact is so poor. Look at what's also happened over here, because there's some other things. I cannot see my left forearm on the right. I can on the left, which means my shoulders are closed, which is also a predictor of what's going to take place with the path. It's going to go to the push side. And that's happened because I got all this forearm rotation in the downswing. It lifts that shoulder up, which freezes the rotation. I don't get as much, and I lose club head speed. Finally, Watch what happens with the golf ball. So this golf ball, I'm trying to hit it to this target here. That golf ball is to the right of that line. There's the golf ball right there. There's where I'm trying to hit it. Now we go over here, and where I'm trying to hit it, that target would be about right there. It's a little far in the distance in this particular shot, but watch what happens. Now that golf ball, for a guy that likes to hit fades, that golf ball is starting on the line that I want to hit it on. So the golf club is on the line that I want. I get the clean strike that I'm looking for. I get a predictable distance, and I get a great start line. So for all those reasons, you want to get the club on plane. Now, how are we going to get the club on plane? So again, I talked to you before about what plane looks like, okay? So let's just assume in the down the line view, Gibbsy, let's assume that this is the area, more or less, that I'm trying to get that golf club to point in. So when I take the club back, I want to feel like it's pointing towards that U-bar, okay? I don't want it to point this way. So you want to feel that shaft on a line here, 45 degrees I'll call it. It won't be that, but it'll feel like 45 degrees like that. So I want to get this to point over there, not down here. I don't want the shaft to be perpendicular to the ground. I want it to be on an angle to the ground. And of all of the drills that I have done to try to do this, my favorite drill requires a coat hanger. It's a very, very simple drill. I've been doing this drill for years. You put this coat hanger, so let's go face on if you would, Gibbsy. Yeah. So we put this coat hanger so that's right there like that. With the hanger, the hook, up top. There you go. There you go. Now, so go ahead and back out of that now. Now let's go down the line, if you would. Now when I take the club back, what I want to feel is I want to feel pressure from this hook to my lead forearm. So I want it to hinge this way. I don't want it to hinge this way, where I have space in between that hook and the forearm. I want it to hinge so it rolls, it's the forearm rotation to here, and then I want it to hinge this way. And when I hinge it that way, now all of a sudden the club is on plane. Okay? So now we go roll and connect. Roll and connect. Roll, connect, and hit. Now, let me record one here so that you can see what this is going to look like here. So I'm going to bring on the ball. Make sure it's in line with this. Set this like that. Now I'm going to roll and connect. So we go here, roll, connect. Now, let's watch what happens at the top. So there's my practice. Up. And there it is. So there's the shaft of the golf club now. Right down the blue thing. That's the ball I'm trying to hit. And the club is in the right plane. Very, very simple. All you need to do is get this coat hanger. And you do this drill very slowly. So you put it in here. So let me just show you this. The edge of the hanger goes to the edge of the grip. So you hold that there like that. Put it on the lead side. And then you grip it. Do not swing fast with this, okay? Club goes back. Now we're going to shift to down the line here. Right. Club goes back, and now we feel it right there. I don't want to feel any space in there. I want to feel that connection right there. Just like that. And then we go. So let's get a ball. Let's do it again. Requires a lot of patience and a lot of practice. Okay? So in here like this, up, slowly, and now same thing, up. Again, a very good strike. I'm not swinging hard. I got what I wanted. Now you've done that for a while. Now you're going to hit one without it. You're going to feel like it's in there. You're going to swing slowly. I don't want speed here. I want good motion, not fast motion. Good motion. You're not ready to go fast yet. So you take this back and you feel that hanger right there, just like that. Here, roll, point, boom, just like that. Now, let me go back over and record another one and see without the hanger how it does. And one of the things that I would recommend that you do, because this will help you, is you take the hanger, put it in here, make a practice swing, feel that, take the hanger out, now go in here slowly, up. Now, let's see how I did. So there it is. There's the practice. So here's my practice right there. Pretty good. That's dramatic. That is way more than I would ever want. So that's dramatic. Now I get rid of the hanger, go up to the top, and there it is. And what you're looking for when you get this on plane is you want the head of the golf club. So this would be number 1, this would be number 2, and this is number 3. This will always be number 3. But you don't want the club head to be closer to number 3, being number 1. You don't want it to go 2, 1, 3. You want it to go 1, 2, 3, right down the line. And that's what I've got right there. So I have the club right where I want it. And now I'm able to come down. Body rotates. Club moves down. And in the strike. I got that one on the toe. Okay? But again, exaggerating this. And then do this. Take yourself some time here. Let me just add one more thing before I close this out. Okay? When you're doing this, this takes time. And you've got to be patient. So what I want you to do is, I want you to do your drill slowly. Feel it slowly at the top. Rehearse it slowly, and then build speed gradually. You're not at a time where you're able to drive this car fast, so don't try to do so. What I want you to do is I want you to take your time. I want you to be patient. I want you to be deliberate. I want you to be thoughtful about it. I want you to rehearse it. Sometimes what I'll even do is I'll grip down on the club like this. And when I go up to the top and I look, I want to be able to see the grip of the golf club on the top part of my forearm. So if I take the club back and I go like this, I can't see the grip cap is not on this side of my forearm. It's actually on this side of my forearm. So I'll take the club back and I want to see the grip cap on that side of the forearm. When I see it on that side of the forearm, now I know I've got the club in the position that I want. So up there, check it there. I might even do this, believe it or not, as I'm trying to get a little reference. I'll tee the ball up because I'm gripping down so much. So I'll get in here like this, go up, see that there, okay, that's good, and then come down and hit it. And I don't care what happens with the ball, whether I top it or hit it good or not. I don't care. I just want to get a feeling of this, and then I want to move through the ball. That's all I'm trying to do. And so what I would recommend to you is be patient with this, understand the importance of getting your club on the proper swing plane and the advantages of doing so. You're going to improve your club face. You're going to improve the low point. You're going to improve your consistency with the strike and the predictability of the distance of the shot that you're trying to hit. So do a little work on that swing plane, get that club in the right line, and I promise you, you're going to play better golf.